Welcome to the Blue Dot Dispatch. Today is Monday, April 14th. Have you ever read a bill so absurd, so nakedly evil, that you laugh? Not because it's funny, because it's so fucking obvious that it has to be a joke? Meet the SAVE Act. Brought to you by the same party that brought us insurrection cosplayers, QAnon shamans, and Rudy Giuliani sweating just for men down his face in a courtroom. And now they say they're here to, quote, save democracy. Nah, they're here to strangle it. So what the hell is the SAVE Act? The short version? Your driver's license, the same one you used to drive a car, rent a house, get on a plane, and grab a six-pack, is no longer good enough to vote. Here's what you'll need instead. A valid U.S. passport, which over half of Americans don't have. Cost? At least $130, which is more than a lot of folks have to spare in the same country where insulin can bankrupt you, and a flat tire is a financial emergency. Let's call this what it is. A poll tax. For those who skipped that day in history class or went to one of those state-sanctioned, whitewashed, don't-say history schools, a poll tax was a fee people had to pay in order to vote, mostly used in the Jim Crow South to keep black folks, poor people, and other, quote, undesirables out of the democratic process. It wasn't about the money. It was about the power and racism and voter suppression dressed up in a three-piece suit. That garbage was outlawed by the 24th Amendment to the Constitution in 1964. That's right, making people pay to vote is unconstitutional. It's illegal. It's anti-democratic. And yet, here we are in 2025, watching Republicans try to sell us a new version of the same old voter suppression scam. This time wrapped in a red, white, and blue bow. Let's be crystal clear. Requiring documents that cost money to obtain, like a passport, in order to vote is just a modern-day poll tax. It doesn't matter if they charge you directly at the ballot box or make you go through a bureaucratic scavenger hunt that costs $130 and a half day off work. The effect is the same. Disenfranchisement. A birth certificate with your current legal name, which nearly 70 million married women don't have. Let's talk about names, specifically your name, the one you go by now, not the one the government stamped on a piece of paper when you were a newborn potato wrapped in a hospital blanket. Because according to the geniuses behind the SAVE Act, that birth certificate with your name on it, yeah, that's your golden ticket to vote. And it damn well better match your current legal name. Or guess what? You're not getting into the ballot box. Let's do some quick math. Nearly 70 million American women have changed their last names after getting married. Add in folks who've transitioned, survivors of domestic violence who've legally changed their names for safety, people adopted later in life, or, I don't know, anyone who just decided they wanted a new name because it's 2025 and we're allowed to be in charge of our own identities. All of those people, poof, disenfranchised. Under the SAVE Act, if your current legal name isn't printed exactly on your original birth certificate, you'd need to dig up and present extra documents, like marriage licenses, court orders, or a paper trail that's often buried in some dusty filing cabinet 3 states away, to prove that you are who you say you are. And if you can't, well, tough luck, sweetheart. No vote for you. Let's stop pretending this is about election security. It's not. It's about voter purity tests. And spoiler alert, those tests always end up targeting the same people: women, trans folks, people of color, immigrants, the elderly, and anyone whose life doesn't fit neatly into a fucking Father Knows Best rerun. And let's be honest, requiring documents that many people either don't have or can't easily access is just another way to say, we don't want you voting. The SAVE Act is an identity-based purge dressed up as a patriotism parade. It's voter suppression with a side of misogyny. A backhanded slap to every woman who ever changed her name for marriage and every human being who had the audacity to grow, evolve, and take ownership of their own identity. Military service papers. Not just a military ID, but your full sensitive service record. Let's set the scene. You served your country. You took an oath. You put your life on the line, maybe in Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, or behind some desk at the Pentagon, keeping the wheels turning. You're a veteran. You're a veteran, damn it. And now, thanks to the SAVE Act, you're being told that's not good enough. According to this flaming dumpster fire of a bill, simply having a military ID isn't sufficient to prove you're eligible to vote. Nope. They want your full service records, your DD-214, your discharge papers, maybe even that top secret documentation you filed away years ago and hoped you'd never have to touch it again. You read that right. A Republican-led Congress marching behind a twice-impeached, convicted felon president who dodged the draft because of bone spurs and who once insulted fallen soldiers as suckers and losers, is now demanding that actual veterans jump through flaming bureaucratic hoops just to maybe be allowed to vote. What kind of upside-down hellscape is this? Let's not forget, military records are sensitive. They contain personal information, deployment history, medical details, and things the average citizen shouldn't have to hand over just to participate in a democracy they already serve to protect. It's an invasion of privacy wrapped in red, white, and bullshit. The SAVE Act doesn't respect service. It doesn't honor sacrifice. It spits in the face of every man and woman who wore the uniform and asks them to prove their worth all over again just to cast a ballot. And the most insulting part? The loudest voice pushing this bill belongs to a man who never served a damn day in his life. Donald Trump is a guy who couldn't handle basic training, but now wants to impose military-grade red tape on actual veterans. This isn't just unpatriotic. It's un-American. Voter fraud is a boogeyman. Look, let's stop pretending this bill is about voter fraud. That's the scarecrow the GOP drags out every single election cycle to justify their bullshit. Here's what the actual data shows. It's extremely rare. In the U.S., studies consistently show that voter fraud is extremely rare. For example, a comprehensive study by the Brennan Center for Justice found that incidents of voter fraud are between, listen to this, 0.0003% and 0.0025% of all votes cast. Now let's break those numbers down just a little bit to illustrate the fucking absurdity of this legislation. According to the Brennan Center for Justice, voter fraud occurs in about, again, 0.0003% to 0.0025% of all votes cast. That's 3 to 25 cases per 1 million votes. Lightning strikes. According to the National Weather Service, the odds of being struck by lightning in any given year are about 1 in 1.2 million, or approximately 0.000083%. Over an 80-year lifespan, the odds increase to 1 in 15,000, or about 0.0067%. So let's compare. Even at the highest estimated rate of voter fraud, which is 0.0025%, you are more likely to be struck by lightning over your lifetime than to encounter an actual case of voter fraud. At the lowest estimate, 0.0003%, you are more than twice as likely to be struck by lightning in a single year than to encounter voter fraud. Bottom line, voter fraud in the U.S. is so rare that you're statistically more likely to get zapped by lightning than to either commit, witness, or be affected by someone trying to vote illegally. Even conservatives admit it. The Heritage Foundation, yeah, them, dug up only 1,513 cases of voter fraud across more than 40 years. That's out of billions of votes. Mail-in ballots, also safe. MIT's 20-year study found fraud in only 0.00006% of mail-in ballots. That is so low you'd need divine intervention to find it. Meanwhile, the U.S. election system already has voter ID laws in most states, signature verification, ballot tracking, and a decentralized system spread across thousands of jurisdictions. If you think you can rig a U.S. election, you've clearly never tried to get all 50 states to agree on anything. What this bill actually does, it punishes the following groups: women, young voters, seniors, poor folks, students, LGBTQ plus citizens, immigrants, and veterans. And basically anyone who doesn't live with their original documents filed alphabetically under proof you exist. Don Winslow said it loud and clear. Most married women don't have an ID that matches their birth certificate. Under this bill, unless they get a passport with their married name, at their own expense, on their own time, they could be locked out of the ballot box. You can be a U.S. citizen, a taxpayer, a public school teacher, a war veteran, and still be told, sorry, no vote for you. Try again next year. Maybe bring your original placenta while you're at it. So let's talk about actual election fraud. This is election fraud. Not the imaginary kind with bamboo ballots and Venezuelan ghost hacking voting machines. The real kind, where you change the rules so only people who vote for you can participate. This is voter suppression wrapped in red, white, and blue. It's the new Jim Crow, but with QR codes and fees. So what can you do? Check your documents now. Double check your documents now. Get your paperwork in order. Raise hell about this bill. Vote in every single election that they haven't yet rigged. And you can forward this post or this audio to 5 people who think their vote still counts. Because if this law passes and we stay quiet, that's how democracy dies. Not with a bang, but with a fucking paperwork error. Until next time, keep fighting the good fight. Deep in the heart of Red Texas, I'm Mickey Sharon for the Blue Dot Dispatch.